Well, let's play Medieval Dynasty for a little bit. So I've got food that has grown and is ready to be harvested. We're in, I think this is the first day of the new season. Yeah. We just completed our forestry right here. What is it? I forget what this place is called. But it'll cut trees for us. We have a second house. I wonder if I can recruit a worker. I don't have anything I would feed them with is the kind of the issue, because they would go to the resource storage, I think. All right, so I'm going to start by clearing this area. Not nightshade. I don't know if I need nightshade. I'll get it anyway. I guess we'll come up to this point right here. And I'm going to build the two resource buildings, or the storage buildings, I should say. The food storage and the resource storage. Okay, I'm going to have to dig these up. Okay, I think that's just about everything. Let's... Well, hold on, there's a rabbit. Okay, working from this side forward. I think these are sticks. Yeah. And that might be as far as I need to come. Okay. Hey Armstrong, how's it going, bud? Yeah, this game is chill. I always seem to make that remark whenever I play it too, because that's what makes it fun for me. I don't really see this as a game that I would sink a ton of time into. It's a game that I would play to just kind of lose myself in a world. Usually, this is the best way to put it for me. This is the kind of game that I play while listening to a 3-hour podcast. Okay, let's start with the resource storage, which is huge. Let's see. I guess we'll just stick it right there. I can, hold on, I can quick save it. Place it, and then see if my food storage will fit in, and it will. Okay. And I don't have to have everything be perfect. I picked up from Gaming Reflections the idea of really being organic. I like that idea. I think it reflects medieval villages better. We just would plop stuff down wherever we have room and let the town develop over time. Good, we're getting the house all packed up. Oh, nice. Nice. You got what is it for you? A job opportunity or what? Oh, wait. That's not what I meant to do. There we go. Or relocation time. I actually don't know if you're still active or not. Oh, I see you, little bunny rabbit. I guess he got scared off, maybe by the sound of construction. I have to make a knife. All right, back to work. New crafting level. Oh, I had a point sitting there already. Okay. More so for my wife. She went on a business trip to the East Coast and came back with a regional job offer. Oh, cool. Time to get out of Cali anyways. I don't want to pay $6 for gas anymore. Well, I hope you go to the right place on the East Coast. It probably is going to be cheaper than California, but maybe not by a lot. But I wish you guys both the best of luck. New opportunities. On it's actually an unrelated note, but you talking about the East Coast made me think about something I saw today. Most of the time when people say East Coast, they don't think Florida, right? You have the Northeast, you have the Mid-Atlantic, and you have the Southeast. But I saw a tweet today that said that Florida, that like we just ended the fiscal year, I guess. I think it was last month, maybe. At any rate, it happened recently, and Florida's official numbers are in, and they broke records. They broke records for how much money that state made. That's where I grew up at. I'm from Texas. That's where I was born, but I left there a while ago. I left there whenever I was a kid, and where I consider that I grew up was, there we go, was Florida. I mean, I kind of moved around a moderate amount whenever I was growing up, but Florida is where the formative years were. Gulf states. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, Gulf states. Seems like I've been hearing for like I don't know how long. It seems like 2 years, but I might be wrong on that. But they call it Cal Exit. Like, people are just ditching, they're bailing out. I don't know where in Cali you are, and I haven't been to California in quite a long time. I used to go there regularly because I had family in California, so I have spent summers across the entirety of north, south, and middle, central. But that was years and years and years ago, right? And I haven't been to California for quite a while now. It's been a number of years. But yeah, I've heard that some of the stories I've heard about certain areas in California, San Francisco is probably one of the ones I hear the most about. It's just insane. I remember again, I don't recall how long ago this was. I keep wanting to say 2 years, but I heard that there were like old medieval era diseases that were popping up in San Francisco, like bubonic plague and stuff. That it's the kinds of stuff that comes from when you live amongst a bunch of unwashed masses, and sanitation is not at modern levels. They're at Middle Ages levels. And these diseases were coming back on the grid in some of these places. I was just like, geez, like you would think people would notice a course correction is needed and they would right the ship well before medieval age diseases popped back up on the market. But no, I guess not. And it's still not fixed. Like, it just stays that way. It's incredible. I'm just stunned. If you had told me, if you could get into a time machine and told me in the 90s what things would look like now, I would laugh you to scorn. I would say, get out of here. I mean, that sounds like a great science fiction novel, some dystopian future kind of thing, you know? Okay, kudos for being creative, but bro, you crazy. We don't need to be talking anymore. You know, that's what I would have told you. Absolutely nuts. People rag on DeSantis all the time, but the dude knows how to run the state. Yeah, I mean, it sure looks that way. San Francisco might as well be the first Mad Max movie. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Plague showed up in Los Angeles. San Francisco's people pooping on the streets. Yeah, man. Jeez, it's just hard to believe, you know. I've heard about. I think this is predominantly in LA, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was San Fran too, because Cisco's pretty expensive. Probably Silicon Valley. But I heard that there are lots of people, like not, I guess the phrase I would use is not an insignificant amount of people, who go to work in 3-piece business suits. So it's very professional. And they make like 6 figures, but they live in vans because they can't afford housing and wherever it is that they're at in California. That's nuts. You know, I mean, just, oh my gosh. It makes me think Escape California, you know, like Escape from New York, Escape from California. But I tell you, every time that I've gone there, and so whenever I was an adult, the place that I would visit would be Sacramento. That's where my family was at, or the family that I had in California. And it was in the suburbs of Sacramento. And every time I would go over and visit as an adult, I ran into tons of just regular, what I would call regular, normal people. It's not the kind of people that I would expect to vote in the kinds of representation that would put policies in that were leading California where it was going, you know? And I was looking for those kinds of people. It's not like I didn't see them anywhere. It's just I didn't see them in the numbers I would expect. It's just I ran into a bunch of regular folks, you know? Democratic supermajorities will run California into the grave. Yeah, I think so. And I don't know what that solution is. It doesn't necessarily have to flip to conservative, but I think that there needs to be some kind of balance. That something's got to change. This is a long-standing trend. This has existed for eons now in California. And I keep hearing things about secession. I think Northern California, the place where all the farmland is at, they straight up want to split off. I think they want to join Idaho. I think that's the Greater Idaho Project. There's parts of Oregon that want to do that also. Man. It's really fascinating, the time that we live in. There's just so much to watch and see and learn about as you listen to people that will explain to you the founding philosophies and theories behind a lot of this stuff and how they differ from each other and the opposing viewpoints and how this stuff all got started. And then I guess we're at sort of the results of some of those ideals. Man, this game's pretty. When the light hits right, you get a really, really good looking game. That's the area I'm in, outside Sacramento. I'm originally from way up north, Chico. Nice. State of Jefferson, yeah. Yep. I've listened to Victor Davis Hanson a few times, and he's I think in that same area, or at least used to be. And he gave one of the best explanations that I had found for, I guess, what you might call the Trump phenomenon back whenever 2016 was unfolding, right? And you had lots of people saying this, that, and the other, but Victor Davis Hanson gave an actual academic explanation that, I guess, looked at cultural anthropology, basically, and said, look, this is how societies are working over here. Here's what people are upset about. Here's why they're upset. This has been going on for years and years and years. And this guy comes out and is one of the first people that has echoed their sentiments for a long time, and it's catching like wildfire out here. And anyway, it was some really thoroughly good explanations that was absent of a lot of the passion that you tend to get with like talk radio or the opinion journalists on the various networks. All of that stuff tends to be more, you get a lot more pejorative explanations, and I'm not even throwing that under the bus. I'm just saying it's a different style. Victor Davis Hanson gave an academic explanation, and it made a lot of sense to me. All right, I need sticks and logs. Sticks and logs. We're almost out of daylight. I don't know if I'm going to find what I'm looking for. Let's see. Fortunately, I've got survival sense, so I guess I will. Sticks. Oh, I wonder if I have anything stored. Probably not, because I have unlimited carry weight. Oh man, I'm about to dehydrate and I'm hungry. Let's get into the river and drink from the water that we're bathing in. All right. Inventory, food, porridge, meat. Oh yeah, look at my health. I must have been really dehydrated for a long time. That's good enough for food. Nothing in that chest. And nothing in that one, so I do have to gather. I'm probably gonna need more trees than just the stumps will provide, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and sleep and wait for daytime. I want those trees to grow back. I love that Brian Shelter's job is on the chopping block. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. I've been hearing about his demise for a while, so it makes me kind of fascinated about what might be happening in the background. Maybe he's got dirt on them or something. But I know what you mean. I learned about, it's like every journalistic school in America has embraced two major schools of thought that really just completely changed the nature of the occupation. One is postmodernism. And with postmodernism, there's a bunch of things to postmodernism, and I'm not familiar with all of them. And there also seems to be some discussion, some argument over what postmodernism is, because it gets used to describe, that term is used to describe two kind of unrelated fields. And so each one ends up just arguing with the other and saying basically, in essence, that's not postmodernism. But so I'm just throwing that out there, but the concept is what I'm wanting to get across here. And the concept of what I'm talking about says that there's no such thing as objective truth, which is funny because that's a truth claim. It is in itself an appeal to an objective truth. But basically what it'll tell you, this is where, if you've ever heard about like the woke math, that 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 5, it comes from this idea. And the general idea is that truth is just a perception. It depends on the perspective of the person speaking. That's why you hear the term speak, quote unquote, your truth. One of the best answers against that I ever heard was actually in a movie. I forget what this movie was called. It was about reincarnation, and it had Tom Hanks in it. And at the very beginning of the movie, they're in the future, and there's this lady being held by the state, I guess, in a holding cell. She's not really arrested. It's more they want to get her testimony on some things. And they're trying to stress to her, you're not in trouble. We just want to know your version of the truth. That's the word, that's the line that the guy said. And of course, what we know and understand and what's gotten across is they're looking for her perspective. But the guy used that phrase, your version of the truth. And this is how she replies. She says, truth is singular. Its versions are mistruth. And I think that's absolutely 100% factual. But postmodernism will tell you, no, that's not true. Truth depends on the viewpoint of the one who's expounding on that. And there is no such thing as objective truth. Well, you certainly wouldn't want a postmodernist designing your airplane, the gauges on your airplane that talk about what altitude you're at, or whether you're or what your orientation is, you know. So it's kind of a ridiculous notion is what I'm getting at. And every major journalistic school in America, from what I heard, embraces this idea. Well, so what do you do with journalism, which has, for a long time, I don't know how long exactly, but a really long time, has thrived off of the phrase, described itself as speak truth to power. If all of a sudden there's no such thing as objective truth, what is a journalist's job even? What's the purpose of their existence? And that's where the second part comes in, where journalistic schools teach that if there's no such thing as objective truth, then your job is to, how do they put it, to steer and write narratives that will lead to the highest moral outcome, I guess. Basically, it's to fight for good. Write your articles to suppress the bad and uplift the good, and to steer public opinion in the direction that you see fit. Well, young people are going to eat that up, right? Because young people are not wise enough to have the hubris to understand they're fallible, and they don't get that so at one time this thing is saying there's no such thing as objective truth. Everybody has their own truth. And then on the other hand, telling their students, write articles where you become the arbiter of what's morally right and wrong. Holy smokes. That's not a good idea. There's absolutely zero oversight there. But these journalists eat it up, and so that's why we have quote-unquote fake news. And the most awesome part about fake news that nobody talks about is that phrase was not invented by Donald Trump, nor was it invented by the right. It was invented by a leftist professor at what's the name of that? Northwestern, because of the now since debunked Russia conspiracy theory that Russia had infiltrated social media with a bunch of bots and digital media and skewed the election away from Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump. And so she listed a whole bunch of sites that she labeled as fake news. Well, not surprisingly, the media made the mistake of saying that Trump turned the people against them by saying that the enemy of the people was the media. That's not true at all. Trump gained popularity because people had already figured out during the Obama stretch, when they saw how the coverage split went. There was no accountability. Obama's mistakes were covered up and his successes were amplified. And so the people already felt that there was such a thing as fake news. They didn't have a word for it, but they said these people are liars, or they're deceived, or they're the Democratic arm, the DNC's communications arm. There was all kinds of different labels, but the concept was the same. Everybody agreed. News was no longer reporting facts, they were reporting narratives. And so I just always thought that was hilarious, that because the people already thought that, and we were seeing it displayed, because I think during the Trump years it was something like 98% of media coverage of Trump was negative. There's no possible way on earth that's a statistically organic operation. That just screams orchestrated, right? And you could take that into other fields and it would be the same. Nobody believes 98% of much of anything is organic, or happens organically. So whenever fake news got flipped, and Trump said at a press conference called CNN, very fake news, what started out as a leftist accusation quickly flipped, and then they had to denounce it and call that dangerous rhetoric. It was man, I tried to get through that whole thing without laughing, but at the very end, that was dangerous rhetoric, something that you guys embraced initially, but as soon as it turned against you. Oh my gosh. Anyway, there's you're not supposed to talk about these things on YouTube, but I don't care. Cloud Atlas. Yeah, that was it. Cloud Atlas. Atlas Shrugged. I read that book. Actually, whenever I read, I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me read your other comment. Highest moral outcome, aka whichever pays the most. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Like science with a $sign for the S, right? That's been going on for eons. And There's actually, I just came across an article where there were two exceptionally highly qualified scientists in our country. They're at two different universities. One of them is MIT. I can't remember where the other one's at, but both of them are professor emeritus. I hope I'm saying that title right, but that title is for people who have been chosen to be leaders of leaders in their field. And they both came out and said that there's demonstrable evidence that climate science is absolutely just, I don't want to put words in their mouth. This is how I'm putting it. They did say it's got a problem. They said there's a lot, it's like a hotbed of corruption because there's so much money to be had. And so my words are, it's a grift. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to say that every ounce of what's been discovered about climate science is a grift. I don't have the qualifications to say that. But I have over the years seen a number of times when large groups of people, like boards, like the ICCC or something, International Climate Change Council or something, they've been caught red-handed doing things the wrong way or steering conversations or striking things from the record so that people come to a certain conclusion. I have seen cases of scientists who had their emails hacked and you can see them talking with each other about cooking the books on temperature readings from across the buoys that we have all over the ocean in order to fit a preconceived narrative. There's a lot going on, man. And to me, it makes sense. Now, this is speculation on my part, but it makes sense to me that if a scientist is trying to, let's say, solve cancer, and they're approached by somebody who says, hey, if you can do a study on the ice shelf up in the Arctic, and you come up with results that I think are aligned with what other research that I've had other people do, then I'll give you a $2 billion grant, or whatever, make up a number, right? I could see that person thinking, wow, this thing that they're approaching me about is clown world. It's like, it's ridiculous. Nobody in my community takes this seriously. And so if I just simply put a stupid report out there on an area that is not being seriously considered by anybody, I could get the money I need to pursue something that's of dire consequence. I mean, I could see, maybe not now that happening, but I could see it maybe starting out that way. I said I wasn't going to dig these up, but maybe I'll turn this into a field because I need the logs. Let me look at your comments again because there was something else that had come to mind for me. Trust the science. Science has a little trademark symbol next to it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Atlas Shrugged. So whenever I was at my first assignment in Portugal, where in Terceira, I had a cousin. I have a cousin who's a genius, right? Like certifiable. He's an actual genius. And he recommended to me a book. We're on different ends of the political spectrum and always have been. He's very liberal. I'm very conservative. But we respect one another. And we speak to each other with, that kind of love and respect that family members hold. And so he told me you should take a look at Ayn Rand's stuff. And he actually suggested, I think, The Fountainhead. So I read The Fountainhead. And then I read Atlas Shrugged because I liked The Fountainhead a lot. And in this, she was putting forth her idea of, I think it's called objectivism. And that actually, I disagree with it now. I don't think it's the worst thing on planet Earth. I'm not trying to paint it as something evil, but the the theory basically revolves around the idea of nobody does anything without having personal incentive, which I think there's some truth to that. There can be some truth to that, but where her theory goes is kind of to the extreme where you end up living a life just for yourself. Everything you do has to serve your purposes and improve things for you, all the way down to like love and relationships and stuff. And I would say that at 19 years old, whenever I read this stuff and I was kind of pretty impressionable, that theory messed me up for a while. I wouldn't say really badly because I didn't happen to have a lot of consequences from it, but thank goodness I wasn't involved in some of the areas where I could have had some really bad things go wrong because I was taking an idea too far. And maybe I misinterpreted her position, right? I really don't want to throw her under the bus. I'm just saying I've read both those books, and some of the logical, what do you call it? Not logical conclusions, but the implications of what she's putting forth. I think there are some dangerous implications there. Let's see. What do I want to do now? How am I doing on? Okay, let's go eat. I need water and food. Food. I have 8 pieces of meat and these dried meat. Okay, let's eat the dried meat. 3, 2, 1. I guess I'll just eat all of it. And then we've got cabbages here too. There we go. Well, I think I'm going to try and recruit a citizen. I need someone who will work this job. So they will have to have a skill and something to do with lumber. And then I'll probably go talk to Sambor. We can probably start flirting with a girl too. See if we can get a wife. Maybe I'll hold off on that and see if I can manage one villager first. Because I'm going to have to start stowing food. I have heard that water is not actually, ironically enough, a requirement in this game for your villagers. But if you have water stored in your resource storage or your food storage, wherever it goes, it improves their happiness a lot. So that means I probably need to put a well up eventually. All right, there is some way to find out what their skills are. There it is. What am I looking for? Resource gathering is what I would think is what I'm looking for. So she's got a 3. He's got a 2. 2. He's not selectable, I guess. This is a kid, I believe. Kids. Whoops. That's Uniga's wife, I think. Yep. You've already got a job. So I'm guessing they won't They won't come out. Looks like it's just gonna be the people sitting at the fire. That's a kid. Do I like sci-fi books? I want to say yes. And that is the truth. Like I've read trying to think of the name. They made a movie out of it a few years ago. I've read Dune. There's another book I'm trying to think of. The second book in that series was about a character named Bean. I can't seem to think of the first book right now. And I enjoyed them a lot. It's famous, and it's about a kid that's a protege, and he gets taken up to a space station to be trained as a general and faces all kinds of challenges up there. But the truth is that with video games, the reason I play the kinds of video games that I do is that to me, they're like interactive books. So I end up playing a ton of video games and I don't read like I used to.
Hello there.
Whoa, hold on. Farewell. All right, so she's really the best one. How old are you? Shouldn't it tell me how old she is? She's 30. I'm creating a new settlement and I'm looking for good people willing to join me. Sounds like what I was looking for. With pleasure. Great, see you there. Okay. Your name is Rosalinda. Okay. And there was another sci-fi book I read called Armor that was really awesome, and I've read... Although I can't honestly remember it, I know I read Starship Troopers. But these were all books that I read while I was in Iraq. You know, I was communications. So for us, your job in Iraq winds up being sitting in an air-conditioned tent because you're watching over electronic equipment, so the AC is needed. And you're just waiting for things to break, which they very rarely do. So... it's actually kind of pretty cake. I mean, whenever you're needed, you're way, way, way needed. I remember having to fix a TACSAT net that flipping search and rescue was on, and it went down in the middle of a mission. I had to get that sucker up ASAP, man, like up yesterday. You know, those guys were in the blind. And there are some other things that happened that I don't really quite know if I'm even allowed to talk about them, so I just won't go into details. But just illustrating that when stuff hits the fan, you got to be Johnny on the ball, right? But there's a lot of dead time. It's feast for famine, and so I had a lot of quiet time, and I read those books. My captain actually recommended them to me. He said Starship Troopers was a good example of decision making by leadership at the tactical level. The other book I read that I can't seem to think of the name of, that was like the operational level. And then Dune, because you're dealing with multiple societies and entire cultures and the clash between civilizations and stuff, that was the strategic level. Do I have that right? Does it go, let's see, it goes tactical, operational, strategic? No, I think it's tactical, strategic. No, I think I was right the first time. Tactical, operational, strategic. Anyway, he recommended them to me, and I read all three. Oh, it just popped into my mind, and you got it. Ender's Game. That's exactly right. And then Ender's Game was so good that I read the next book in the series, which centered on Bean. Our villager's still on her way, I assume. Okay, well, we're halfway through this season. I'm gonna gather this food up and put it into food storage. Yeah, all three books were really good, but I think Ender's Game was the one that I enjoyed the most. But Dune was really fascinating. It's a little hard to describe. Dune really drew me in. Dune was crazy fascinating with all the stuff that's going on and like the level that it's happening at, because like I said, it's civilizations against civilizations. But Ender's Game was the most entertaining. That was the biggest page turner for me. All right, I think the next day I'm going to go out to Sambor. Oh, I need to complete quests for neighbors also. Do I have anything here that... Well, first I need to do the meat. So, craft all 10 of these. I'm doing recordings right now on Mass Effect 2 and Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which Mankind Divided is a blind playthrough for me. I've never done it before. Where'd she go? Shouldn't she be here by now? But man, both of those games have been immensely enjoyable. I'm remembering why Mass Effect 2 was my favorite of the three. I don't even consider Andromeda. That's off my radar. I heard that it got fixed via mods, but to me it doesn't belong in the series. It's like a side game. I was hoping to see her on the road. I don't know where she's at. Maybe she'll show up tomorrow. But yeah, Mass Effect 2 has been a blast. Deus Ex is just flipping incredible, man. Their ability to give you to make you think and then leave it to you as to which side of the spectrum you want to fall on is uncanny. They don't steer you at all, and they do such a good job of being able to present you bridges that you can take, like pathways in the quest and decision-making tree that fall on both sides of the political spectrum. It's just really masterfully done, in my opinion. But that one's not on YouTube. Like, I'll sit here during a live stream and be like, these things, you're not supposed to talk about these things on YouTube. They get angry about it, but I kind of, like, the more further we go, the less I care. And some of that's true, because if they want to strike a video for speech, I just am fundamentally against that. At the same time, though, my Deus Ex series, for example, that won't be on YouTube. That's a Rumble exclusive. And it's because YouTube has a right to run their platform however they want, and I'm not going to sit there and try and push their buttons. You know, if things come out organically during a live stream, that's one thing, but pre-recording is a different story. All right. Oh no, there's a whole bunch of reds up at the top. Is red bad? Because I know I've got housing available. Where is she at? Maybe I need to put food into her cabin. I thought that they would handle that themselves. Give me 4 of these. Let's see if this makes the food area turn green. No. Huh. All right, there's stuff going on here that I don't know about, and I'm probably going to have to research this on YouTube. There's a relatively new series that I've been listening to on Audible. It's great for one of the podcast games, but it's called Galaxy's Edge. Imagine Star Wars mixed with Generation Kill. Man, well, that sounds a little bit like Starship Troopers. Galaxy's Edge on Audible. I never finished Mankind Divided, but I loved Human Revolution. Yeah, and I recorded a playthrough on Human Revolution also, which is on Rumble, but towards the end of it, unfortunately, unbeknownst to me, my microphone was having serious trouble, and so there's a lot of static and breakup. I think it was only in the last 2 episodes, maybe 3, but so fortunately it just happened at the very end, but at the same time, the very end is kind of like the biggest thing, you know. So anyway, I went ahead and got my mic replaced with the one that I'm using now. All right, well, I'm going to create a save. I'm going to call it something else. Post villager. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop string for right now, because I don't know what I'm doing here. I've reached a point that, I mean, that looks really bad. And I don't see her here, so there's something wrong. There's probably something I have to do with this house to give it to her. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Manage. Assign tenant. Rosalinda. Status, no food, no water, no wood. Okay, now that I've assigned it, she should be on her way. Well, so probably what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to replay this entire episode. I'm going to load my old save. Well, maybe offline I'll build this stuff again. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. And then we'll be at the point where it's time to go recruiter. And I'll do that part over again. All right. Can't recommend Galaxy's Edge enough. It comes in 2 book bundles on Audible, so you get the first 2 books for like $15. All right, good to know, man. All right, Armstrong, I am going to say good night for the time being. Ironically enough, I have Deus Ex episode to record, so I've got that to get to, and then I'm going to do this offline stuff on this game here. And that'll be that. But you take care, okay? And best of luck to you and yours as you guys are packing up and getting ready for that cross-country move. I hope everything works out real well for you.